Zach Meyer with Meyer Property, touching in this year. Probably could have done some filming over the last few weeks, but of course I didn't, so I apologize, but I promise I'm going to have a couple of good ones here. We're going to be demoing that shed over there, so I'm definitely going to do some filming for that. That should be fun. But just some things that kind of get overlooked when you're pricing out jobs, or when you're giving day rates, or really don't give half days, really. I mean, kind of, sort of, but there's lots of things here that kind of get overlooked, and I just want to explain some of them. First one being, after every single job, no matter what, I would say maybe 5% of the time, you are going to have to pressure wash the machine. And I know that seems like, well, maybe that's only going to take 10 minutes. It actually takes probably about an hour. Very thorough with stuff. This is after an hour of pressure washing the undercarriage, and no matter what, even if you track forward, dirt will find its way back out some way, shape, or form. So you factor that into the cost. You have to clean the machine. Then pretty much after every use, you got to grease everything. There's probably 20 fittings or so, all up and down the boom, everywhere, grease zerks. That all has to be done because the pins wear out and they're a nightmare to replace. So that's why you grease everything. Also, the interior filter that filters my cab for my heat and air conditioning, I blow that out like once every 2 or 3 jobs, depending on how dusty it is. Same thing with the air filter on the machine. That's got to be cleaned up. So they're just some small things that you kind of built into day rates, and that's kind of why you charge what you charge. Obviously you got to haul it, and sometimes the truck can become a muddy mess at times depending on where you're working. But all this stuff in here too, this is all going to have to get blown out with an air gun and whatnot. Sometimes I go as far to wipe everything down, and then also keeping the windows clean. I tend to use a bunch of glass cleaner, the good stuff. It's just kind of one of those things that doesn't really get thought too much about. And the cost of owning stuff like this, at this point in time, it has 770 hours, give or take, which is a lot of seat time I've had in this. And I've taken care of it very, very well. Another wear and tear item that definitely isn't really thought about, you should be able to get over 1,000 hours out of your tracks. My tracks look pretty good in terms of tread, but there's also little things like rocks and sharp things on the ground that accelerate that. This here, one of them, there's one there, that's probably a nice rock, stuff like this, and it does wear down the tracks. Now, you would think that these tracks aren't that expensive. Now, I wouldn't buy aftermarket tracks. I would just pay for Caterpillar, because I know that's going to be terrific quality. I'm not going to have to worry about them tearing prematurely or anything of that nature. One of these tracks is anywhere from $1,200 to $1,500. That's per track. So to retrack this thing, probably around the $3,000 range, not to mention having to get them off, which is another bit of a pain. But these are things that kind of get overlooked in price, and there's some guys out there that run the equipment for super cheap to try to get jobs, and that's not necessarily a smart thing to do, because you push the actual the market down. Not that you don't want people to save money, but it's just the cost of owning this stuff. It's the cost of housing this stuff. It's the cost of moving the stuff around, the truck and the trailer and such, and that maintenance is a whole different thing. The registration on the truck, talk about $750 a year just to drive the truck with proper registrations in terms of combination weight. The trailer's got to be inspected every year. The dump trailer's got to be inspected every year. Sometimes it needs stuff, sometimes it doesn't. These are all things that have to have constant maintenance. The insurance is pretty expensive, you know, factoring in a quarterly payments and whatnot, well over $1,000. Plus, you know, you deal with obviously your taxes and then you got your own expenses at home and stuff, your food. So all these things kind of play a factor into how much it costs to run this machine properly and efficiently to be able to sustain a business, you know, per day, per job. It all varies, you know, in different parts of the country, but I would say probably where we are, this is you know, it's a good area and stuff. There's plenty of wealth around my area. But yeah, it's just kind of the things that you don't really think too much about and just how expensive it is. And this is by no means an expensive piece of equipment in terms of the equipment world. To the average person, you know, this would be expensive, but some of the bigger ones, the cost of moving them around, the cost of owning them it's pretty intense. You're talking well over $100,000, some stuff over $200,000. Your truck's going to be over $100,000. Some of the bigger dump trucks are $250,000. Your tag-along trailers could be anywhere from $20,000 to $30,000 to $40,000. These are extreme costs, you know, and the day rates for machines, you know, I mean, I'm around anywhere from $1,200-$1,300 for just, you know, moving dirt around or general grading. If you're running the brush cutter, it gets a lot more expensive, you know, $1,500-$1,800 per day. It's a very intense attachment, puts a lot of wear and tear on the machine, the hydraulic system, you know, and then you got your maintenance intervals, your engine, you know, all your filters, your oil, your hydraulic, your coolant, all those things I keep stocked up here at the shop and stuff because, you know, the intervals come up quicker than, you know, than you would think. You know, you can get through 300 hours on a machine pretty quickly. So I just figured I'd take a little video that, yeah, it's cost a bunch of money to run and operate this types of stuff. Should be doing some demo work on the shed over here. I can't remember if I said that earlier or not, but yeah, I'll take some video of tearing that sucker down and getting it into a dumpster. But yeah, these are just hidden costs and things, you know, you didn't really think about, you know, grease, you know, cleaning, they're all that stuff, because even a half a day, it's a full day no matter what. Even if you go spend 2 or 3 hours on a job, by the time you get back and you're done cleaning everything and blah, 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 you're not really home until 4:30, 5 o'clock. And on full days and stuff, if you're lucky, you might get home by 6:30. Some days will carry on longer. So there's lots of things that go into this, and they can get a lot of things done and save your back and whatnot, but they cost money to run and they cost money to maintain. So we haven't really quite crawled into spring yet, or we're here in terms of the calendar. It's April 11th, but the weather is not really showing the time of year. We've had a couple of days where it's been kind of warm. I'm also waiting for some grass to get growing and stuff on some jobs. Kind of, you know, I want to see some germination as well. The customer does. So it just takes time. But you know, next week's going to be kind of cloudy. The weather's going to be not really quite warm, but I know the week beyond that, we're going to get up into the mid to high 60s. It's going to be sunny. It's going to feel good. Everybody's tired of the winter. It's been a cold, long winter here in Pennsylvania. Probably worse for the guys up north. But yeah, we're ready for spring to kind of make its way in. But anyway, just kind of put out a video there, and probably do some more do some filming here going into the spring. Some jobs, you know, they're a little bit more involved, and you really just don't want to do any filming because you're trying to focus on, you know, whatever you're doing, and it's time crunch and so on and whatnot. But yes, so hope everybody's doing well, and we'll have another video up here shortly. Alrighty, take care.